Hi guys, quick update before the game. I didn't even think about recording anything in the morning. I was so in a rush with all the preparation. It's already almost 2 p.m. now, so I really need to get dressed and I need to get going. I hope my preparation will come on the board. My friend helped me a bit with the prep, so we'll see how it goes. We should win the match. Tomorrow is the last day before the rest day. So yeah, today again another very important match to get back to the top. So wish me luck and I will see you after the game. So I just got back from the game. I won today, and I think it was a pretty clean and nice game overall. And also the team won with 2.5 to 1.5. Unfortunately, our board 2 lost today, but we could make it up with wins on board 1 and on my board on board 3. Board 4 ended in a draw. So a win is a win. Was a pretty tough match, and tomorrow it will be even harder. Tomorrow we will surely play against someone stronger. So yeah, let's see who we will be paired against. Now I will enjoy the sauna, no gym today, and just some spa time. The spa here in the hotel is really good overall. They have some thermal water, some hot pools, and yeah, the sauna also, which I also always really enjoy to go. So see you later at the recap of the match. So at the chess section. Hi everyone, to today's recap. We won the match against Tajikistan. It was a very close matchup. We only won with 2.5 to 1.5 since our board 2 unfortunately lost. But myself and board 1 managed to win the game and board 4 ended in a draw. So it was a pretty close match overall, but we got the win, which is the most important. And let's have a look at my game which I played today. So I was white against an opponent rated around 2200. I was a bit careful before the game because I saw he was born in 2007. So obviously he's young, he's performing well in this tournament. So I wanted to approach the opening very solidly. I played knight f3 once again. And he went for knight f6, g3, and as I said in the morning, b6 is what I'm mostly prepared for, the Queen's Indian, where I had some ideas up my sleeve. But he went for d5, not a total surprise. I still obviously knew something here and also prepared something for the game. But what came as a surprise that after c6 castle he went for bishop f5. He mostly went for bishop g4, when after h3 white usually gets the bishop pair and later can build the center with d3, e4, which is always like slightly better for white. But he went for bishop f5 and now went d3. I knew that c4 is what I had in my notes. But after d takes c4, I couldn't remember how to win back this pawn. I still didn't check it after knight a3. I wasn't sure after b5 in the game. Computer suggests b3 takes and queen takes b3. When after e6, I wasn't so sure how the position is. I knew that I have some compensation for sure, but computer gives a large advantage for white, like 0.60 now just with d3, and then bishop b2, knight e5. The bishop on g2 is very strong. It makes a lot of sense, but during the game I didn't want to allow him to take this pawn here. The point why c4 is more accurate than if you play with d3 and then c4, which I also considered, is because now black can take this and white is forced to take back, and after queen d1, rook d1, the position is pretty balanced here with queens off the board. Black is super solid. So that's why you should start with c4. This is the most critical approach, and after e6 now queen b3, and not d3, yeah, this would transpose, but queen b3 and after queen b6 now d3, followed by bishop e3. This is what I would like to play with white, but yeah, he went. I wasn't sure about d takes c4, therefore I just went d3 for this more solid approach, and e6 and now b3. So the point is now we're just playing kind of like a reversed London system, but white is a tempo up, of course, and I just want to develop with bishop b2, knight d2, and then either e4 or c4 depending on what black does. He went knight d7, which is still logical, bishop b2, bishop c5, and bishop c5 is already kind of a very strange move in my opinion. Black should go for bishop e7, knight d2, castle, and after c4 something like h6, just to have knight h4 out of the picture. And here there is this very nice plan for white, which I wanted to play in the game. a3, I want to go b4, and if black goes a5, now rook a2, followed by queen a1. The queen is actually nicely placed behind the bishop here, controlling the diagonal. And then after, let's say, rook e8, queen a1, bishop f8, white also has this plan with bishop c3, followed by rook b1 and then b4, with an equal position, but at least it's playable, and I thought such a slow position would be a good approach against him. But anyway, he played bishop c5, and after knight d2, now the bishop doesn't do much here, and now he went for h6, which is another inaccuracy. He should have just castled. But also here, yeah, now I will just play probably a3, a5, and I guess c4, and the bishop on c5 is just a bit misplaced. Sometimes I could even go d4, even though in most cases I don't want to do that, because it would block out the bishop on b2. But often I will have b4 with the tempo, so the bishop is just not very well placed here. But he went h6, maybe he was afraid of castle knight h4, even though this usually doesn't work because black has some knight jumps here. Here maybe knight e8. Let me check, knight e8 is a typical motive. Even though now I have knight f3, I forgot about this. So maybe I could have even gone for this knight h4 here. Yeah, this might be a smart idea to get the bishop pair. After bishop d6 I can take, and I have the two bishops. Of course I weaken my kingside here, but the two bishops could be a long-term advantage for white. Anyway, he went h6, and now he allowed me to play e4, which is quite instructive actually. Black didn't develop his king yet, so I can open the center and he cannot take the pawn, because in the end I will take on g7 when he cannot castle anymore and he's still underdeveloped. I also have some ideas with knight h4, and yeah, this would be not so great for black. So he went bishop g4, also bishop h7 is not much better. After e5, after e5, what I intended to play, the knight has to go to g8 and then to e7. Black has kind of like a worse Caro-Kann advance. I could go for something like d4, when the bishop should probably go to b6, otherwise the knight still cannot develop. And then something like c4, I thought I have a very pleasant position here as well with a big center. But he went bishop g4, now h3, now he took. If bishop h5 again, I wanted to go e5, and after knight g8 again, these sorts of ideas with c4 on the next move. He took, now queen f3, and short castle, already a slight inaccuracy. Computer says queen a5 is smart, but still I think after queen e2, for example, white should be a bit better, even though this is a better version of course for him. Now he could exchange these, my pair of bishops. The engine actually gave this very nice idea, knight b1 here, which stops bishop a3, and now I have this idea with a3, b4. Not sure I would have come up with this over the board, but it's a pretty cool idea, which I think I've never seen before, actually. But he went castle, and now e5. Now I go for the structure. If he would take on e4, after d takes e4, I'm also slightly better due to the bishop pair. And the queen will drop back to e2. Apologies. And knight will come to c4. And the square on d6 is also long-term weakness. So this looks also slightly better for white. So short castle is what he played, e5, and now knight h7. Maybe knight e8 is better, but it's also not a great square for the knight. Yeah, it's maybe better than h7, but black's position is already pretty sad at this point. Knight h7, now d4, bishop e7, and now I go for queen e2. c4, also what I thought about, but now I thought he could maybe take, and here he has knight takes e5, unless I'm missing something, and this knight takes e4 is probably also good for me, but now at least he has this d5 square, maybe knight b6, then knight d5. Black is at least somewhat solid here. So I went queen e2 just to prepare the c4 push, and now he went for c5, which only makes it worse, because now after c4, a very good move, now the bishop on g2 is opening up, and now my two bishops are just doing a great job. So his position is already pretty stuck here. He should go for something like b5 or a5, I guess. When I have all sorts of plans, I could still go for c4, or I could start pushing on the king side with f4, f5 and start a king side attack there. So I'm already clearly better here, but c5 only makes it worse, and now c4, just opening up this diagonal. He went knight b6, now simply rook d1, very logical. Now he took on d4, bishop d4, rook c8, and now I decided to simplify with bishop b6. I think it was the right moment, because now maybe he's intending to go bishop c5 to exchange these bishops when he might be holding on somehow. Also, if rook c1, he has bishop a3 when my rook is kind of in an awkward spot here. So bishop b6, a good decision. Now he took with the queen. If he would take with the pawn, I thought I will take here. Now I'm not winning the pawn at least, but I thought I have knight c4, which looked pretty strong to me during the game. And I would just take this pawn next, and if d4, I can take the pawn on b7, I think also with the winning advantage for me. He took on b6 with the queen, now cd5, ed5, and bishop d5, now I simply won a pawn. Knight g5, I thought rook c2 is a better try for him in the game, but the rook might become also trapped. I thought queen d3 might be possible. When after rook b2, I have all sorts of ideas with queen c3, and if rook c8, I have ideas with bishop c4, when this rook might be in trouble. So he went knight g5 and now knight c4. I could also start with some h4 or king g2, I guess, but he anyway cannot take on h3 because I simply go king g2 or king h2 when his queen is attacked and the knight on h3 as well, so I would simply win material here. So he went queen a6 and now I went f4. Here I thought for a while if I really want to go f4 because it does weaken my king side, but I also thought that I have some ideas with f5 possibly later on with an attack myself. Therefore I decided on this. Let me see what the engine actually suggests. Computer wants to go h4, knight e6, and then rook d3 followed by rook f3 if knight c5. This is actually pretty cool as well. But f4 is also a good move, and after knight e6 I simply went king h2, stepping out of this check on c5, and now f5 could become a threat as well. He went rook d8, now I went a4 just to stop this b5 idea because my knight on c4 is very well placed, and b5 would potentially kick out the knight and then grant access to the rook on c8 along the c-file, so I'm just stopping any counterplay with a4. And now he went b5, which is probably again makes it a bit worse, but his position is already lost. Maybe bishop c5 is a better idea. I thought about this during the game and I thought I would just go queen e4, taking the pawn on b7 and at the same time protecting the square on d4 so that bishop d4 and knight d4 is out of the picture. So he went b5, now knight d6. I thought I could also take here and just simplify with bishop e6, but now my king is maybe a bit weak. And yeah, I thought with knight d6 I have a more or less concrete win. Bishop d6, now a takes b5, intermediate move, queen b6 is forced. And now bishop e6, maybe small inaccuracy. I saw rook a6 right away during the game, but I thought bishop e6 is good enough. Bishop e5 is the computer suggestion when I thought that I can still go rook a6 here. And let me see if the computer comes up with some brilliant idea here. Rook d1, I thought I could take on b6. Rook cd8, bishop f7. Oh, king f8, I totally missed that. But after rook b7, rook d2, okay, this still looks pretty winning for me here. I'm just 2 pawns up and his king on f8 is pretty weak, so that would also be enough for the win. This is what I thought. Maybe bishop of e5 would have been a better try, but he took back with the pawn, and now I still have rook a6. Queen moved, and now e takes d6, I think, important. If I would take with this, the pawn on e6 is a weakness, but I thought now he might have some counterplay with queen c1, for example, threatening rook c2, and this wouldn't be that easy to convert, at least that was my impression during the game. With e takes d6, now the d-file is blocked, and also the pawn on e6 is a huge weakness, so I think that was a good decision. He went king h8, stepping out of the check with queen takes e6, but now I have d7, rook c7, and rook takes e6, threatening rook e8 with check, and he took with this rook now. This would have put up, I think, a bigger resistance, but here I had this nice idea with rook takes d7, rook takes d7, and rook takes h6 now. If the king goes to g8, then queen e8 is checkmate, or it's actually not checkmate, but after queen f8 I'm winning a lot of material here, just winning everything, and checkmate will come soon. But what I thought, rook h6, gh6, now queen e8 check, king has to move, and I'm taking with check here, important, and now I'm simply 3 pawns up in this queen endgame. I thought a bit further, I think king f8, and now I simply wanted to go queen c6, queen f2, queen g2. When my king is safe, there are no perpetual checks, and I should be able to convert this without any issues. But he took with this rook, which allowed me a concrete win. Now rook e8 check, simply if he would go king h7, then rook takes d8, I'm simply winning a rook. So he tried to take here, queen e8, king h7, and now a last accurate move with queen e4 check. If I would take right away, it would allow some chances for perpetual check. It's probably, now it is perpetual check actually, yeah, because I cannot run out. Black is simply, yeah, black has perpetual check. Maybe rook takes d7 actually wins, I'm not sure. No, yes, queen f1 and also perpetual check, yeah. So queen e4, last important move, and he resigned because if he moves with the king, then I will take on d7, and after queen f2 check, I have queen g2, and now no more perpetual checks, and I'm simply a rook and 2 pawns up. So therefore he resigned after queen e4 check. And I have to say I'm pretty happy with the game overall. I approached the opening very solidly, and it worked out really, really well. He already went for this bishop c5, which in my opinion is a bit dubious, and then with h6 it allowed me just to have complete control over the center. So very nice way to win the match, at least from my part. Tomorrow we will have a much stronger opponent, I'm sure. I know that I said the same yesterday as well, but tomorrow we will surely play against a very strong opponent. So yeah, hope you enjoyed today's recap, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.